Hey, what's up? In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to use fragments in your Android apps. So in my demo here, I have a fragment opening up in the main screen, and on the main screen, I can choose to navigate to fragments 1, 2, or 3, or I can go to a second activity. The reason I put this activity here is because I wanted to show you how to navigate to activities if you're in a fragment already. I know it might have caused some confusion, so I just wanted to add it in there. It's really no different than if you're navigating to an activity in a normal scenario. So if I click on fragment 1, it takes me to the same page because I'm already in fragment 1. If I go to fragment 2, it takes me to fragment 2. Fragment 3 takes me to fragment 3. And if I click on second activity, it will take me to a second activity. And this is actually an activity, this isn't a fragment. So as you might have guessed from the page behind me, I'm going to be using the fragment state pager adapter. And if you've seen my tutorial on using tabs, you'll know that I use a fragment pager adapter. The reason that we're not going to use a fragment pager adapter for this is because a fragment pager adapter, it saves the fragments in memory so that they can be accessed more quickly, and it's good for tabs because you might only have 4 or 5 tabs that you're using, which is okay. With many fragments, like say you have 10, 15, or 20 or more fragments, using this build pattern isn't the best idea because it saves them in memory and it can slow down your app. So what you use is the fragment state pager adapter, and this is going to be better for if you're using tons of fragments. Okay, so that's enough talking. I already made a new project. I called it Fragments. It's just an empty activity, nothing special. So first of all, I'm just going to do the layouts because they're very similar and I just want to get them out of the way. I'm not going to actually code them up, otherwise this video is going to be way too long. I'm just going to paste them in from my demo that I just showed you. So let's go to activity main and we'll get rid of the text view, and this is actually the only one. Well, I guess I'll type out one of the layouts, but most of them are just copy paste. So we need to create a view pager object just like we did in my tabs tutorial, and then we're just going to give it an ID. Whoops. And we're going to call it container, and that's actually all we're going to do in activity main. This is just going to hold. This is the fragment container. This is what the fragments are going to get swapped out of when you change to different fragments. So we can close activity main and let's create another layout file. This is going to be the fragment 1 layout. And these fragment layouts are pretty much all going to be the same. They're going to have a button for navigating to each of the fragments and then a button to navigate to an activity. And I'm going to change this to a relative layout because those suck. Alright, and like I said, I'm just going to paste in this layout. I'm not going to waste time and type it out. But I'll just go over it really quick. We have a heading, a text view that just says which fragment it is, and then I have 3 buttons. Each one is going to be for navigating to the various fragments, and then one more button at the bottom for navigating to the activity. And basically all I'm going to do is I don't even need to copy that. I'm going to copy that and paste it into the layout, and then I'm going to go fragment 2, and there is absolutely nothing I'm going to change except for the title up there. That's it. And I'm going to do that one more time for the fragment 3 layout, and I'm going to change this to 3, and that's it. All the fragment layouts are literally identical except a heading so that you can tell which one is which. So I'll close all those layouts, and now we're going to create the layout file for our activity. So I'm just going to call it second activity. Should I call it second activity layout? Let's just call it second. Yeah, I guess I should call it second activity layout since it's an activity. And inside this one, I'm going to change this to a relative layout just because of habit. And then I'm going to also paste in this text view, which is just a text view that says this is second activity layout. And with that, we are done with all of our layout files. Now, before I forget, I'm going to add the second activity. Oh, I guess I got to create the second activity first. Let's create the second activity and extend app compact activity, and then just insert. So alt insert to insert on create, but you probably already know that. And set content layout, content view, sorry. And second activity layout, and that's all we're going to do. Now I'm going to go into the manifest and I'm going to add that second activity. So second activity. Okay, that's good. So now I know I won't forget that. And since we're here, let's just write the log. We're not going to do anything in second activity. All I'm going to do is just log that it was started. That's it. Okay, we can close. Oh, I'm in main activity. Whoops. We're going to go into second activity and do that. So log t, and then log D, whoops, and just say started. Okay, we're done in second activity. Now we're going to get started with our fragment stuff. We got all of the kind of housekeeping things out of the way. Our layout files are built. Our second activity is built. It's in the manifest. We're ready to go. So let's start doing the fragment stuff. Alright, so let's go to the developer website, and we're in the fragment state pager adapter screen. And if you read this example, it seems kind of complicated. I mean, I see what they're doing, but like generally all you need to do is create your adapter class that extends fragment state pager adapter, create your default constructor, and then use these two override methods right here. Get count and get item are the only two required override methods. So like really you sort of only need this piece right here. You need a way to track the number of fragments that you're adding to your list of fragments, and you need a way to get the items in the list. So I'm gonna sort of follow this, but they have a lot here that I'm not going to use. So yeah, let's create a new class, and I'm going to call it our sections state pager adapter. So sections state pager adapter, and of course we extend the fragment state pager adapter like on the GitHub or on the developer website. And then so this is red, and it's telling me that I need to insert some override methods. So I can go, okay, let's implement some methods, and see it all that it actually requires is get item and get count. So we can go, okay, sure, let's get those in there. And it's still angry because it wants the default constructor. So we'll just go alt insert and insert the default constructor, and there we go. All the red is gone. So now we're going to create two objects. We're going to create a list for the fragments, and then a list for the titles of the fragments, just like I did if you watched my fragment tab tutorial. So go private final list, and then I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to call it m fragment title list. There we go. Now down in the get item method, we are just going to return the item in question, the item at the position that you're looking for. So you go fragment list dot get, and then pass the position, and that's it. And then we're going to go down into get count, and we're just going to return the size of the list. So we go m fragment list dot size, and that's it. And just kind of an FYI, you don't really need the fragment title list. It's just helpful if you're keeping track of your fragments. Like in this video, I'm just going to name them fragment 1, 2, and 3, but in an actual application that you're building, you're probably going to be naming your fragments. Like, I don't know, if you had a home screen, you'd say home fragment or whatever, settings fragment, anything like that. But in my case, in this video, I'm just going to name the fragments 1, 2, and 3. So just kind of be aware of that. And then in the constructor, we're just going to take the fragment list. Oh, whoops, actually we need to create one method, sorry, first. We need to create our add fragment method. So go private void add fragment. And this is how we actually add our fragments to the fragment list. So we just need to add the fragment and then the title of our fragment. And we'll go m fragment list dot add fragment, and then m fragment title list add title. And that should be good. Why is that angry? Did I not type? Oh, that's why. So that's good. I'm not sure why I deleted that super. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Anyway, so there we go. So we have our fragment list, and we have a method to add the fragments to the list, and we just have our two override methods that are required, and that's it. So we're done in this class. Now we're going to go back to main activity and actually start writing all the code. Actually, I take that back. Let's get the fragment classes built first. So we'll go create a new Java class, and we'll go fragment 1, and they're all going to be the same, so it'll be quick. And you're going to have two choices when you import your fragment library. The v4 one is the newer one, so that's the one we're going to use. And I have updated my Android Studio finally away from Marshmallow, so I'm going to be using all the new stuff. So anyway, let's, oh, why am I typing that out? Let's create our tag first, and then we're going to create 4 buttons. We have our button to navigate to the 3 fragments, and then our button to navigate to the second activity. So I'll just type that out once, and then I'll copy it 3 times. Let's copy it 4 times, and I'll call that one like that. And this is going to be button nav second activity, and then we're going to insert where is it? On create view. So this is one way that fragments differ from activities. You use on create view instead of just on create. Like if we look at main activity, you see that it's on create, but in fragments we use on create view. And then the other major difference is in fragments you have to create a view object, and then you have to return the view at the bottom of on create view. So we inflate our layout dot fragment 1 layout, and then we pass our container and false. And then at the bottom we have to return the view. And why is this angry? Because I have this super. Okay, now I'm not going to make you watch me type this out. I'm going to paste in the button declarations here. So that's done, and now we're going to create our on-click listeners for all the buttons. New on-click listener. Oh, actually I should have talked about that. So this is another difference as compared to activities and fragments. When you're declaring widgets in fragments, you have to reference the view. So in an activity, you would just have find view by ID, but if you're in a fragment, you have to do view.find view by ID. So just kind of be wary of that. And let's actually log it too. Let's go log D, started, and now inside our button click, we're just going to create a toast that says navigating to that particular fragment. So toast, make text, and here we run into another thing that's different from activities. Usually to reference the context, you do this, or you do this, or you do main activity dot this, depending on what activity you're in. But that won't work in this case because you're not in an activity, so the fragment doesn't. The fragment context is main activity because it's technically running off of main activity. So you go get activity, and that will give you the application context. So then we can write going to fragment 1, and then toast dot length, let's do short, and show. Whoops. Okay, so now we're at the point where we would navigate to our next fragment, but I'm going to leave this part out and I'm going to come back to it. So navigate to fragment method. So I'm going to leave that part out. I'm going to copy this a bunch of times for each one of the buttons. So this is just going to be button 2, button 3, and button 4. And of course change all of these. Whoops. There is no button 4. This is actually this button. And this we can actually write out right now because we're just going to use an intent. So just go intent equals new intent. And once again, we get activity for the context, and we're going to be navigating to second activity.class, and then start activity, and import intent. Okay, so that's all good. So we're going to come back to this method right here because I haven't created it yet, and I got to create it actually in main activity. So we're done for fragment 1, and we're going to hold off on fragment 2 and 3. We're going to go back to main activity, and we're going to write some code in here first. I need to create the method for switching to the other fragments. Okay, so we have our tags, so we just need two more objects. It's going to be our sections pager adapter and our view pager object. Because remember, in our activity main, we created a view pager view here, so we need to create our view pager object. That's what we're going to be referencing. So then we declare our view pager object and find view by ID, and this is where we reference our container. So this is the actual view pager here. This is the container that we're swapping the fragments out of. And then we're going to set up the pager, and we're going to create a method for setting up the pager. So private void, we call it view setup view pager, without a capital, and inside the brackets we'll pass the view pager object. And then we create our sections pager adapter one more time, or section state pager adapter. I'm just going to call it adapter, new section state pager adapter. Once again, get support fragment manager. And now we just we call the add the add fragment method, which is not coming up for some reason because I made it private probably. Yep. So little mistake there. I accidentally made that method private. Make sure you make that public. And so now we can use our add fragment, and we're going to add each one of our fragments. So I'll add fragment 1 first of all, and then we're going to give it a title. Like I said, I'm just going to call mine fragments 1, 2, and 3. You can call yours whatever you want, because more than likely in a real situation you're not going to call them fragments 1, 2, and 3. You're going to name them relative to what kind of screen you're dealing with. And I haven't made those fragment classes yet, but that's fine. And then we do viewPager dot set the adapter, and we just pass our adapter, and that's it. So now we can get rid of that, and we can go set up viewPager, and we can pass our viewPager. And just so you know, by default it will inflate the first fragment that you've added. So in our case, it's going to add, it'll display fragment 1 when the app starts. If you switch the order of these, like if I put fragment 2, I'll just show you. If I put fragment 2 there, it would show fragment 2 first. But we have fragment 1 there, so it will show fragment 1 first. And so now, if we go back to our fragment 1, now we basically just need a way inside of the fragments to navigate to the other fragments. So if I'm in fragment 1, I still need a way to navigate to fragment 2, 3, or we got a way to navigate to the activity, so we need a way to navigate to the other fragments. So we need a method here that's going to be able to access that. And so if I wanted to navigate to another fragment, basically all I would do is I would go mViewPager dot set current item, and then pass an integer for which item I want to navigate to. So fragment 1 is 0, fragment 2 is 1, and fragment 3 is 2 for the first, second, and third positions. So that, I mean, that's great, but that doesn't really help me here, right? Because I can't do that in here. So we need to create a method that I can access from fragment 1. So I'll create a public method here. Very important that it's public, or it won't be able to be accessed from fragment 1. And I'll call it set viewPager, and it's going to take an integer, and it'll just be the fragment number. And I'll just go mViewPager set current item, and it'll be the fragment number. So then we can go into our fragment class, and I can delete this, and what you'll do is you'll need a couple sets of brackets here, and we need to reference the activity. So we go main activity, and then we go get activity, and now this right here will give us access to any of the methods that are inside main activity. So now I can click here, and you can see I have all these methods, and there's onCreate, and there's our set viewPager method. So now let's see what will happen if I change this to private. If I was to change that to private and do the same thing, it's gone. So that's why it's very important that we set this to a public method, so we can access it from any of the other classes or fragments. So set viewPager, and now we just pass the number, so we're navigating to fragment 1, so we just pass 0, and that's it. So now we're going to copy this and put it into each one of these, and this is going to be a 1, and this is going to be a 2. And that's it. So why is this so red? Right, so now we need to create our fragments 2 and fragments 3 classes, but luckily they are literally going to be identical. So with the only difference is the heading, right? The only difference that I've made is these headings. So I can literally just copy that, paste it, go fragment 2, copy that, paste it, go fragment 3, and we're done. Now we will start the app and hope it doesn't have any errors. Alright. Fragment 1, fragment 2, I forgot to change that text. Let's go into here. Oh, I forgot to change the layouts. This is fragment 2, and that's fragment 3. Little hiccup, sorry about that. Let's try again. Fragment 2, fragment 3, fragment 1, and second activity. Okay, so everything's working good. I hope that was useful. I think you could use this as sort of a template for anything, right? Like you create an infinite number of fragments here, and it would be very simple to navigate back and forth. Now that you know that you can just create a method in main activity, and you can reference that method in any one of your fragments to navigate to any of the other fragments. And it's also possible to still navigate to activities even when you're already in a fragment. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If it was, make sure to leave a like below. Follow me on Twitter for notifications when new tutorials are posted. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.